Welcome, everyone, from all over the world to the sixth Bring Inner Greatness Out Global Conference. I'm your host, Dr. Mansur Hasib. The speeches will be recorded and uploaded to my YouTube channel. However, the networking will not be recorded. All of us have personal brands, and your personal brand begins with your name. As you build your brand, your name grows in value. And as your name grows in value, anything you touch grows in value also. This enables you to earn more. You're already born unique. All you have to do is polish and lead with this uniqueness. What's the value of your uniqueness? What can you do that no one else can? You must know your unique value proposition, cultivate it, enhance it, leverage it, and earn the highest compensation possible for your work. You're not defined by what you do. What you do is defined by you. You will hear keynotes from several speakers from all over the world who are well advanced in the personal branding methodology I shared in my book, Bring Inner Greatness Out. I hope they will inspire you to start your own journey soon. Let's begin with Felix Okot with the speech, Embrace Self-Serving to Serve Others. Embrace self-serving to serve others. Felix Okot.
Thank you, Dr. Mansur. What was the color of your first bike? Have you ever started typing or acting on something important that you believe others can benefit from, but then chose not to share it? Is this hesitation self-serving? Who benefits in this case? Many people face the dilemma of whether to serve others or take intentional actions that may seem self-serving. What if I told you that embracing self-serving actions is the key to serving others in a meaningful way? Self-serving is human nature, but with intentional self-leadership, it can be channeled to serve others in a meaningful way. I learned this responsibility from my journey with a red BMX bike. While I was in Kenya, living at the orphanage with 12 other kids in the same house, and they're from different tribes, I wished to own a bike. Every day on my way to school, I would pass by the bike repair shop and see all these used bikes for sale, but I couldn't afford. I even made friends with the bike shop owner and helped him to inflate other people's bike tires. But despite all my effort, I still could not afford. One day, I asked my younger brother, Nicholas, to join forces and invest on a used bike from this shop. From there, we started saving every single we got into an all sock, just like this, even if it meant sacrificing our lunch money, our bus fare, and even our Sunday offerings. Our focus was on getting a bike for ourselves. Finally, 2 years and $25 later, we got enough to invest on a used red BMX bike. We rode the bike around the football field with my brother, taking turns with my brother, and soon other kids started gathering nearby, waiting for their turn to ride. But most of them did not know how to ride a bike yet. Initially, John, Emily, Dixon, Oprah, and everyone else got a chance to ride the bike for free. However, after some time, we started charging a few shillings per ride around the football field. The return on investment was good, but most money went into fixing the bike and spare parts. We kept riding and riding, most people falling off the bike multiple times until they could ride with confidence. Most people in the neighborhood at the orphanage learned to ride a bike for the first time using our red BMX bike. Eventually, 2 years and $25 later, the entire community benefited from our red BMX bike. And it felt amazing to see how it changed many kids' lives. We became visible and well known even up to this very moment, the Bike Brothers. There is a point in everyone's life when we realize that finding our passion is great, but sustainable fulfillment is when it's no longer just a passion, but a mission to serve others in a meaningful way. I want to share with you 3 self-leadership frameworks that will change your lives if you can embrace self-serving actions to serve others. 1, don't just be intentional, be consistently intentional. 2, don't just serve others or yourself. Strive for an impact that results in an impact for both. Once you achieve this balance, the impact of your unique significance increases, benefiting both yourself and others. But sometimes you may feel invisible, stuck, overlooked, underutilized, and even lose your sense of purpose. What is blocking you from moving forward, step by step, day by day, to becoming the best version of yourself? Here's my challenge for you. I want you to consistently be intentional in embracing self-serving actions. And if any of you is brave enough, try filling in this statement, filling the blank in this statement, and share it with any social media platform of your choice, like LinkedIn. From today, I want to be consistent and intentional in filling the blank. For example, from today, I want to be consistent and intentional in becoming the best version of myself. If there's any one message that I want you to take home today, is take intentional control of your life. In closing, you know, that little red bike survived for my entire childhood until it was unfixable beyond repair. But that little red bike inspired a movement, and I'm happy to say that now almost every single house at the orphanage ended up with their own kind of a red bike. Do you remember the color of your first bike? I hope each of you will find your little red bike and share it with the world. A chance to ride, learn, and grow with confidence. 2 years and $25 later, thank you. And now I'm thrilled to invite Farida on stage with a speech title, Silence to Social, Overcoming Social Media Shyness. Farida, Silence to Social, Overcoming Social Media Shyness. Thank you.
Yay, that was a very beautiful one. Thank you very much. Hello, everyone. I'm Farida from Nigeria. And I would love us to imagine a world where voices were muted, not by force, but by hesitation. A world where people, despite having something profound to say, remained silent because they did not believe their words mattered. Now, let's transport that to the world we are in the present day, where we have social media, the ultimate platform to amplify our voices. But here's the irony. Despite the power at our fingertip, many feel voiceless, drawn in the noises of the social media and fear. Let me share my story. Farida, I'm a very introverted person in nature. I'm a Muslim, a very reserved Muslim. I'm a very shy person. But then going from being a social media shy person to setting big goal and building a brand for myself was the best thing I did to myself. I can say this anyway. I used to be someone who was too conscious of my online presence, what to post, what to type, what to say, what people will say, how people sees what I post, the impression and other things, which eventually made me a very shy person. I don't put anything on social media, not even my birthdays or work. A ghost social media user. That was what I was actually, not anymore. At the beginning of 2023, I was scrolling through TikTok and I came across a lady's post. I found her content very interesting and educating. After seeing one of her videos talking about online presence and its impact in one's life, I decided to take up the big step and say to myself, I need to build my brand. I wasn't sure on how to navigate the ever-evolving platform, and I felt a bit overwhelmed by the whole concept. However, I quickly realized that social media is not just a tool for staying connected with family and friends, but also a powerful platform for personal and professional growth. I decided to step out of my comfort zone and embrace it fully. I started by exploring different platforms, learning about their unique features and functionalities, read more books. I made conscious efforts to engage and connect with like-minded individuals. I began to read more. Then I stumbled on Dr. Hasib's book that was Bring Inner Greatness Out. And the book emphasized on true leadership. Success stems from aligning your personal brand, values, and passion with your action and public image by embracing unique quality and focus on continuous self-improvement. Taking away my social media shyness has been the best thing I did to myself. It opened me to so many opportunities. I connected with like-minded individuals, share my ideas, showcase my work, and I can say to you, it's been a game changer in terms of networking and personal growth. I came to realization that silence isn't always about having nothing to say. It's often about fear. Fear of not being heard, fear of being backlashed, fear of being vulnerable. But when I overcame that fear, my voice became beacon for others. It wasn't perfect though. My voice wasn't polished, but at least it was mine, my unique voice, and that was what mattered. We live in a time where social media can amplify voices for both good and bad. We see constant noise where everybody is talking, but few are truly listening. However, this is where our inner greatness lies, in our ability to cut through the noise, to bring our authentic self forward, and to speak from place of truth, empathy, and purpose. My story is a story of many of us, I can say. At some point, we've all held back, unsure if our voices could cut through the chatter. But if we've learned anything so far, it's the authenticity of people we are going to meet when we come out of our shells. It's not about what people think of us, it's about being our true selves. In a world that often tells us to shout to be heard, I challenge each and every one of us to embrace the power of being ourselves, being unique, not being silenced for fear, but silence of introspection, the kind that helps us understand what truly matters to us. And when we are ready, we reflect on how to do things with intention, heart, and greatness. The journey of being a silent person to a social media person is not about mastering everything about it, but mastering what you have to offer to people. So today I'll ask, what's that greatness in you you're waiting for people to hear? What's that thing in you you're waiting for it to be heard? Because the world is waiting and ready for you to bring it on. So embrace yourself, do what you need to do for yourself, build yourself, be unique. Do not wait for anybody to tell you what to be, how to live, how to do what needed to be done for yourself. Just be yourself, do what is needed for you to do, and be unique. That is what it is about, bringing inner greatness out. Just be yourself and come out of that shell. Yes, I can see that. Come out of that shell. Thank you.
And now it will be Celeste Stacey.
Okay, thank you, Mansur, and thank you, Farida, for that very inspirational speech. And I love the thread, the tone that we all have, this continuous thread, as you'll learn soon. So let me ask you, have you ever procrastinated, talked yourself out of something you really wanted to do, or straight up froze with analysis paralysis? If so, you are not alone. Did you know that fear of failure has a lot to do with it? It does. In my everyday work, I help high achieving professionals living with chronic overwhelm release it. I help them get their energy, their balance, their focus, their mental freedom back, get rid of that hum of mental restlessness that they can't tune out enough to feel completely relaxed or free no matter what they do. And that's even if they're not working. I help them get their lives back. Without exception, each one wrestled with fear of failure in some form, even down to responding to emails. Fear of failure is paralyzing. But what is it really? When we pull back the curtain and look inside, we find what I call the 3 E's: ego, expectation, and energy. Let's start out with ego. In Latin, the word ego simply means I, as in me, myself. Your ego is how you see yourself compared to whatever or whoever you encounter in life. And here's the funny thing about ego. It constantly tries to prove itself right no matter what. So have you ever met a know-it-all, someone who always has to have an answer for everything, someone who just has to know it all? Really annoying, isn't it? Yeah, that's your ego. That know-it-all ego will do its best to constantly convince you that you have to prove that you are either good enough, that's the fragile part of your ego, or that you are just that good, that's the oversized part. Now, when it comes to fear of failure, which side do you think yells the loudest? If you said the oversized part, the part that constantly has to prove that you are just that good, you're right. Your oversized ego is terrified of failure because of the second E, your expectations. Oh, I got to get it 100% right or I fail. In March, the dreaded what ifs. What if they find out I'm not as good as they think I am? What if no one likes my idea? What if I take this risk and end up broke and living in a van down by the river? Shout out to the late Chris Farley from Saturday Night Live fame, right? What if? That know-it-all ego will try to convince your fears are right with evidence. Hey, remember that time when you tried to do that thing and you clearly weren't prepared and you can't do that again. People are watching. Social media is forever. Right? So here you have two of the three E's, ego and expectation, working overtime, keeping you in getting ready to get ready mode. They got you on the ropes. And here is where you hand them that final death blow that kills your dream for good. You hand them the third E, your energy. We give so much energy in thinking of the worst case scenarios possible, don't we? Each time we give that energy, we make ego and expectation stronger. We defeat and deplete ourselves before we even try. So we procrastinate. We talk ourselves out of things we really want to do. We fall into analysis paralysis. We prove ourselves right. So how do we break free from the vice grip of these dreaded three E's? With the one E that changes everything: empathy, the ability to identify with and understand others' struggles, others' feelings and situations. Empathy turns I into you. Empathy is a helper, a partner along the journey. It unselfishly explores someone else's struggles. It looks at life outside of ourselves. Empathy is like knowing you might not have all the right words to say if a friend loses a loved one, but because it's from the heart, anything you say will be fine. Empathy is all about sharing your heart. Fear of failure is about keeping it to yourself, because I don't want to look stupid, because I don't want to mess up, because I don't want to make the wrong decision and end up losing everything, because I. No, you don't get to do that anymore. Starting right now, you don't get to do that. Now that you know that fear of failure is your own ego, your own unwillingness to share your heart, you have a choice. You can either continue to be an egomaniac and think only about yourself, or you can choose empathy, to think of someone else, see the world outside of yourself. And no, you won't be perfect, but your what ifs will change. What if someone out there needs to feel your heart? What if just one person needs the idea, the life experience, the perspective, the peace of mind that your heart is called to share? What if you change a life? What if that one changed life creates a movement, impacts generations? What if it all works out? What if you learn something new? What if you grow? What if? What if? Thank you. Now, I am thrilled to introduce Ellie J to the stage, who will be speaking of playing with worms. Ellie J, playing with worms.
Thank you, Celeste. I noticed you said all the speech to be in one theme, so allow me to completely break that theme. But I promise this speech is not as disgusting as the title makes it sound. There is no dirt, there's no creepy crawlies, there's definitely no wiggly little creatures, apart from these, but these are just my snack. So what is this nonsense all about then? Let me introduce you to something my father and I invented. We like to call fun with worms. In this case, your worms don't slither along the ground, but rather fall from your lips. You see, I learnt wordplay from my father at a very early age, along with many other joys of the English language. And if you're already deliberately twisting the language, there's not much of a leap between word and worm, is there? Such twisting of the English language, playing with words, or worms if you prefer, but don't blame me if the animal rights activists get cross, is so natural and happens so casually in all of our family conversations. It can come through puns. For example, on a long drive, he got his directions wrong, and he said to me, "I got the order of the roundabouts wrong." To which I replied, "Is the order of the roundabouts some sort of secret society?" Because the word order can mean the pattern in which things happen, or a group. Naturally, this idea spiraled out of control until it's quite likely that there will be a secret society of roundabouts in a future book of mine. But if you don't like to play with words through the misapplied multitude of meanings, you could simply substitute a different one entirely for the sheer fun of it. If I have to cite examples at this point, you really haven't been paying attention. Worm is, after all, a bit of a silly thing to say instead of word. But these changing of words have been a part of my life since day one, and they taught me to love language. Because language doesn't have to be the boring headache of syntax and grammar and word classes. No one needs to know that some people in the English language call a particular type of word an attributive noun. What language should do is effectively communicate. And if you can still communicate your point and have fun, even though you're not doing it right, you're a much better speaker than many, many people. I have applied this fun-loving attitude to language to personal branding, public speaking, my writing, and social media. I've sold books through such methods as offering up my firstborn child, telling people I need sails for my boat, listing the ridiculous things that happen in the books themselves, attributing strange powers to owning a copy, and once even talking about bananas. Why? Because from an early age I've found that silliness can communicate an idea or goal, build a skill, and spread some fun all at once. It should be the same for anything. Too many people waste time on skills, ideas, and brands being built through dry, heavy-going textbooks and advice from pompous experts who know it all. But you don't have to listen to any of that. You can toss it all aside and do it your way. Have some fun. Find the way to play with your worm. Actually, maybe don't call it that. You can get into trouble for that kind of thing. But hey, if anyone gives you any hassle over it, you can always call them a ducking thickhead. Did I mention spoonerisms as one of the ways to play with words? They're one of my favourite ways. Find your way today. And now it is my pleasure to introduce to the stage Dr. Tammy Erickson with her speech, One Student's Question. One Student's Question, Dr. Townsend.
I can't believe I have to follow Ellie J. That's a really hard act to follow. Thank you, Ellie J. So, I teach. That's one of my hats. So a question came from a student. She says, Dr. Tammy, I watched all your videos that you did with Dr. Hasib, with all your hats and your sticky notes. But I have one question. I'm a teacher. There's never just one question from a student. Never just one. So I say, what's your question? What really is your company brand? Oh, I know that your brand. I said, well, let's see. My brand for my company is, I'm a city girl. I've been known to be a country girl, maybe a cowgirl. that rides longhorns, right? I have a brand of sticky notes as the queen of sticky notes because, well, that's the way I manage. Yes, these are already sticky notes I took from today. And the current sticky note that I'm working on right now, which falls actually funny how this is with the sticky notes that I got from everyone today, is be who you want to be, not what others tell you you should be. So funny how I'm working on this week and it falls right in line with everything you guys said today. So this is what my brand is about, is all these hats. That is who I am. As a CEO or the person who owns a company, you are the first and foremost piece of your brand. Secondly, how you manage or teach or learn about your brand is my sticky notes. I'm thinking to myself, so what is your question? That's my brand, right? Well, not really. The company goes further than that in your brand. So I had to think about it for a minute, but it wasn't very long. I started my company because I really wanted to be the queen bee of a company, right? Doesn't everybody want to be queen bee? Absolutely. Okay, well, that wasn't totally true, although my company, if you've ever looked at my website somewhere or even my LinkedIn, that's probably not up to date like it should be. Thanks, Felix, for letting me know that. So the truth is, it's my logo. It's a bee, but I didn't really want to be queen bee. Okay, maybe. But see, if you know anything about a bee is all about pollinating. My tagline is that I'm busy as a bee. So if anyone knows about being a bee, I'm a bee. It's about being the spirit. Bees work. They actually work. They're one of the busiest insects there are. I'm busy. Anybody else knows me? I'm very busy. I am busy as a bee building partnerships with others, bringing people in, bringing people together, or kicking them out if I have to. If, I don't like negative people. So if you're negative, you get kicked out of the hive. Sorry, you got to go. Only positive people. Bees have a very ethical value to one another. They work to build their hive and their honey. They collect and collect. Do you know that bees go 3 miles to get nectar, to bring back their nectar to their hive, to their queen bee? Amazing facts about a queen bee. But these bees are so busy. They work as a team to get all this done for these hives. Bees are unique in that they are the only type of insect that will work as a team to do all these productions. They have a strong sense of bees are intentional. They are intentional. They have a strong sense of community and collaboration. They are diligent. They're persistent. I'm very persistent and working very hard to get clients. I'm on you. I'm on you. I'm on you. I'm very persistent. When you don't want to do your work, you don't want to change, you don't want to look at yourself. I work very hard to help people bring out their inner greatness. You have to see yourself. You have to love yourself. You have to get there. You will do that. We'll work together to get there. Because of this, bees inspire people. Many people use bees as their symbol because they have this goal to bring things together, to pollinate. They are humble. They enjoy humans. I know that they sting you, but maybe that's because you're in the way of their beautifulness. So, although the student had one question that, I went, uh-oh, I thought there was going to be more questions. She really only had one. And it was supposed to be that I really thought I was going to be a queen bee when I started. I ultimately ended up being a bee that was going to pollinate all the flowers in the universe. And that is really what happened. I'm a little bit of everything, and I'm as busy as a bee pollinating as a little bit of everything. And that is what my company turned out to be. And I'm going to turn it over to Hazel with an unnamed forest. Jessie Hazel, an unnamed forest.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be among such a diverse and outstanding group. The energy here has been amazing, and I can just relate to every single story that's been shared. As my bio mentions, I am an information security professional of about 6 years. Actually, maybe this August is 7 years in the making. I initially entered this industry from an art background, a very non-traditional background, as a traditional painter. As an artist, my views in art kind of informed and shaped my information security professionalism and my decision making within cybersecurity and information security. I initially remember in 2017 when I'm sitting in my first grad school class. I'm nervous, I'm so shy, I'm so scared to actually identify who I am when we're going around the classroom and getting to introduce ourselves. So my cohorts were all these individuals from all these agencies like DHS. They're already working professionals, and here I am, a painter. So I knew I had a lot to do to catch up to everybody. I knew I had to get a lot of technical skill and knowledge under my belt. I knew I had to get a lot of conceptual cybersecurity knowledge under my belt. After a couple of internships, I finally landed my first chance with a real cybersecurity contractor role with a federal agency. I would later find out that the hiring manager was the only one that wanted to bring me on board. Everyone else was like, no, this guy, skip him. He's not worth our time. But my hiring manager was like, no, this guy has the great attitude to come in here and work with us. And he has a great attitude to work with our client. And so this is one of my first takeaways here, that hiring managers should take a risk on folks from non-traditional backgrounds. Now, it really became this part where I'm working full-time and I'm going to classes, and then I'm starting to get a lot of advice that people are saying, don't let anyone know that you're an art background. Don't let anybody know. Everyone wants a technical person. Everyone wants this cybersecurity professional, this very, very well trained up in IT personnel. And so I tried to hide who I was. I tried to cover it up. I tried to pretend that I wasn't an artist. I also tried to pretend that I wasn't someone who had 2 MFAs or master's degrees. I was taking all this advice, and then I was getting in these very toxic environments, and I was getting feedback that was gaslighting me. You're not good enough. You can always get better. And then a certain book kind of came across. And then with the book, I realized I should embrace myself and embrace my art. Don't try to hide it anymore. Eventually, what came to be was that I started to connect dots between my previous art training and my cybersecurity. One of the best examples I always bring up to folks is that cybersecurity is really like from drawing from life. It's the same experience from drawing from life, and that we're combating perception versus observation. So in cybersecurity, one of our main things is that you will have vulnerability scans. These vulnerability scans have scorings, like this vulnerability finding is a critical, this one is a high. And you'll find that business leaders will almost always focus on criticals and highs. And then you will maybe every week you submit these scans to your technical teams to be, can you fix this? Can you remediate this? What are we going to do? And your technical teams will always be, well, these criticals and highs, they're already part of our routine patching. We don't have to do anything. We just need to get back on our patching cycle. We need to fix things here. And then you would see this burnout between your team members. They would feel frustrated and tired from constantly dealing with the leaderships about these perceptions. These are highs and criticals. They're scary risks for us. And then I realized that these perceptions were a lot like drawing like an apple. Here we have, kind of my drawing of an apple based off my memory, based off the perception of an apple. So, it's very rough, it's very loose. It's not really an apple. It's not representational of an apple. And then I realized these business leaders they're only dealing with the perception. They're not dealing with the observation. They're not looking at the apple. They're not looking at their information systems and seeing all the nuances and details. They're not seeing the light reflections. They're not seeing the pattern of the skin. They're not understanding the flesh inside the apple. And I realized, well, these leaders are not understanding their compensating controls. They're not understanding their mitigations that go in place. There's security measures that go in place. These are kind of this transferable skills I believe that art majors have. I believe that everyone has soft skills that they bring to the table with them. And in an industry where hard skills are very fetishized, they're very obsessed with, I feel like we need more soft skills, more artists. So the other takeaway with my speech today is that I want other art students, I want parents of art students, I want folks going from these non-traditional paths to realize that they have a viable career with the arts, with English, with any sort of non-traditional humanities. We need more humanities majors in cybersecurity for sure. Thank you. Thank you so much. And I'm thrilled to invite Dr. Hasib back for the closing remarks.
Wow. Thank you very much. What an amazing set of presentations. Is it okay if I do a gallery view and everybody can unmute and give everybody a clapping and round of applause? It is fantastic. Great job, everyone. What a
Awesome job.